the 11th, Monday the 11th. So it's only a couple of days till I'll go on holiday. So you're going to see more of this sort of stream. But obviously, right now I'm just in the bedroom with curtains behind me, as opposed to it being sun, sea, and sand. So hopefully this should work, and there'll be some good stuff when I go on holiday. Now, yeah, I hope we're all doing really well today. Let me know where you are. Let me know where you're coming from in the chat. Let me know what you think about this transfer window so far. Today's show is going to be a relatively short one just because there's not loads happening. And of course, it gets boring if you kind of regurgitate what it is that I say. Morning, Bobby, legend of the chat. Hope you're doing really, really well today in whatever we are doing. So yeah, the sun's in the background a bit, but I just thought it's right that I bring you as much news as I possibly can. Remember, if you do get in the chat, obviously be respectful. As I will say, I'm not a dictator of the chat. I lead this. I try to drive it, but I am led by the chat. This is one of the best chats in the communities that I found. Respectful. We're like a little family. So if you do come into the chat, no to DCL. So this is where we are. So what I wanted to start off and say, and as Bobby said there in the chat, for me is what I've said the whole way through, and this is based upon, so there are rumours now floating around. Emmanuel, welcome, hello. I hope you're doing really, really, really well today. As it's a nice warm day here in the UK, going on holiday on Thursday, so it's a good day. It's a good day. So the stream's going to be a little bit up and down. I might even do one from an airport, but let's see. So I think I'm going to be on the road taking the United Devil channel on the road to another country. Let's see how we do that. Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I think we really need to have a conversation about this. So where's this come from? This is coming from many sources now. The rumours are whirling around. Now, if you remember last year, I think it might have been even the January window before last, when Ineos first came in that Christmas, and last summer. So Dominic Calvert-Lewin has been in the conversation for quite some time. I think it's well established that Sir Jim likes this player, and I think it does come from him. I'm not sure about the football side. Now, I'm just going to say straight off of the bat, Calvert-Lewin is an absolute no from me. Now, if you look at his stats, now I can't be a hypocrite on this one, and I have said if Rasmus goes, so we can go for a little bit of Rasmus stuff as well, is that we should bring in two strikers. We need to bring in a recognised, always second striker who can actually do something. So for example, if Shesko does leave, if Shesko is the only available striker and he gets injured, we need a deputy striker who can at least do it for a couple of games, right? Dominic Calvert-Lewin is not this. And I've been saying this, I think, literally since the very first stream I've ever done, that I've always believed, and I've been consistent on this. And again, this could be another one that we were right on here. I've spoken about Shesko. We did Shesko on here. We went early on Shesko, and we were right on Shesko. Baleba, it looks like we're going to be right on that as well. United needs a good midfielder. Manuel, I 100% agree, my friend. I do think we're going to get a goalkeeper. I do think we're going to get a midfielder. This is not about not getting a midfielder. We're going to get Baleba. I'm of that opinion. That we'll get Baleba. I do believe that. I do believe that. So I'm not worried about the goalkeeper. I think we'll get one in. I don't believe that we're not going to get a midfielder. This is the additional one, and I think this is pertinent for me to come and talk about this with you guys, because this is something I truly believe is always going to happen. So when I first started to do this about two months ago, on one of the first or second videos that I did say, Calvert-Lewin for me has always been in and around the conversation. Let's believe it is a good player. I've always believed that Calvert-Lewin has always been on the conversation. When other players have started to sort of go, he's always been sniffing around. And I think we've always been sniffing around him. Now, I've always had the belief, and I've been consistent on this. I think I mentioned it yesterday. I've mentioned it probably at least once a week for the last couple of weeks, Dominic Calvert-Lewin for me has always been a fear of mine. Has always been a I've always had the belief that at some point he's going to join. Now, as I say, please get rid of Onana. He's what we want. Please get rid of Onana. Yeah. Onana will go. Onana will 100% go. We need Baleba. I don't think we'll get him before. No, Bobby, we won't. We won't, my friend. Baleba's not coming in before that. I think we need to be calm on that one. I do think the deal will happen. As I've said, and as we spoke about this yesterday, that Baleba's going to get done. When it gets done, I don't know. I don't believe we've gone into this. And what I said yesterday for me is that those of you who are Ineos in or think Ineos are cooking, you have to. I think you have to believe that this Baleba deal is going to get done, because I don't believe that Ineos would have walked into this deal. Sorry, the football side of Ineos wouldn't have walked into this deal not knowing that the cost of this deal. And if they have, they're very naive. So I think that you can fall somewhere in between. I think Ineos are doing an okay job. A lot of you saying that it's Windows 8 out of 10 already. I don't believe that it is. I think it's a 6. We've not sold anyone yet. But for those of you who are Ineos in and think they're cooking, I think you have to believe this Baleba deal is going to get done, because they're not. How can they be cooking then if they don't get this deal done? But we've been consistent on here. We've been consistent for a little while. Baleba will get done. I'm still going to pull the Shesko card out. We've been on that early doors, so we got that one right, and I think we'll get the Baleba one done right. Now, this is a personal one for me. This is one, if I get this right, then I'm wrong. Okay. Calvert-Lewin is a no from me. I think we need to talk about this. I think that we've done some good deals. I think this would be an absolute travesty of a deal to do. We're talking about a player who has basically not played. You might as well get him a plaque and put it up next to Luke Shaw, and they can keep each other company. I just want you to imagine a scenario whereby Shesko's injured for, say, 3 to 4 games, okay, and that could happen. Calvert-Lewin is leading the line. Calvert-Lewin is the. For me, I want Ineos in. They'll have to win the Prem in the next 2 seasons. If we give Onana a chance, then he has the support of the defenders. Emmanuel, we're not going to give him support, mate. We're not going to give him a chance. He's had his chance. Unless something goes drastically wrong, Onana will start against Arsenal. I've no doubt about that. I'm not happy about that. And we can talk about the transfer window later on, probably after on the Arsenal game. Even though we do have time in the window, I still think it's talk about that. I think it's a failure that Onana's playing against Arsenal. I think it's an abject failure that he's playing. The back four will know him, and he's come back from injury, and that's going to be a disaster. I think there's so many factors against Arsenal why I think we'll draw, possibly lose. Is an Onana match ready? I don't know, mate. I'd like to think not. I don't want him in goal. Binder for me, I'd rather him in goal. I don't think he's. You could argue he's not as good as Onana, but right now I'd rather him. But I think that a new goalkeeper will come in. I do think it's a failure. So those of you who are in your cooking and that kind of stuff, I get it, and I'm not going to dismiss your opinion on that. But for me, this is a prime example as to why they're not. We haven't made a single sale. We still have players in, and Onana's going to play against Arsenal, or he's still in the squad. So that's a failure for me. Now, Calvert-Lewin, I've been saying this for a long, long time. His record is appalling. I think he scored something like 4 or 5 goals last season in an Everton side that basically didn't really have a striker. They've let him go. He's going to want big money. He's going to want 100 to 150k a week, and you might as well just put that money in the bin. Of second strikers, I'd rather John O'Shea start and goal. God, I remember those days. Do you know what? I'd rather De Ligt in goal. I'd rather Maguire in goal, really. So Calvert-Lewin for me. If I'm proved right on this one, then I'm wrong. At least I've been consistent. I've always had the opinion that whilst the window's open, Calvert-Lewin will come to this club. I'm convinced of it. I've been convinced since this window opened. And be careful what you wish for. And I'm going to say this to myself as well: is I want a second striker. We need to keep Hoyland. Manuel Hoyland's going. We can talk about that. We can shift a little bit. Hoyland is not staying. Hoyland, it's pretty much, and Romano's come out with this. Ross Harwood, I mentioned his name quite a lot, Ross, because he's got a load of things right, and he fits in really with what I believe and what I think. So Ross Harwood is an independent guy. He's been right on loads and loads of things, and he's on X, by the way. So if you want to give him a follow on X, give him a shout out, because he's been fantastic. Hoyland, I agree with you. I would rather Hoyland stay, but we need the money to balance the books. So Hoyland is going. That deal's pretty much done. AC Milan, I think that's pretty much done and sorted. I think he's going to go for 6 million loan with an option of 40 million to buy. I don't necessarily think that AC Milan are going to pay that for him unless he has a blinding season. So Hoyland's gone. Now, I can't be a hypocrite on this one. I said we needed a second striker. But if it's a choice of nothing and Calvert-Lewin for me is a no. I'd rather nothing. Xerxes for me will be a better second striker. I'd rather Xerxes. I'd rather play Cunha there. Calvert-Lewin, you might as I don't know what the obsession is. I don't know what the obsession is with him. I don't know why he's linked to this club. He's done. He's spent. He's not. There was one point where he was linked to Arsenal. There was one point where he was good, and then injuries have just ravished his career. He's one of these players who's very much like his brand. He's very much like a brand player. He's not particularly good. He's got no pace anymore. He's awful. He is as a backup striker. He's sort of one of those strikers that you only have in your team because you gave him a contract. He got injured, and you can't get rid of him. So like a Luke Shaw, effectively, you might as well just get him a plaque. You might as well, if you want to put 150 million pound in the bin. Sorry, if you want to put 150k a week, 100k a week in the bin, you might as well burn it. You might as well give it to me, because I'll have more impact than him on the pitch. So what I would do is I just won't go for him. I'd rather go for Vardy as a second striker. I'd rather Vardy, who could teach OB. I'd rather pay Vardy as a striker teacher as 100k to come in. Calvert-Lewin for me would be a disaster. We'd give him a 2 or 3 year deal. It's a no. I think people should be vocal on this. Get on X, just because I just think it will be an absolute disaster, and it's not something that I want to happen. But I'm convinced it's going to happen. So I think we need to be aware of this and just accept that this is going to be an absolute travesty of a deal. I won't support it. I've got to be consistent on this. There's certain players that I won't support. Now, am I a bit of a hypocrite on that one? Yes, I am. But he's not for me. So Baleba, where are we with Baleba? We're basically negotiating. We are negotiating with Brighton. I think we're trying to get this deal done. I think, as we explained yesterday, Brighton don't need to bring the price down. They are a club who are run extremely well. They don't need to sell him. They are a selling club. They know their place, and this is not a. I'm not besmirching their name. I'm not putting them down. They know their place. They know they're probably never going to win a league. They do what they do, and they do extremely well. They're a fantastically run club. They are a brilliant club. Brighton are just a wonderful club. They've come up. They got this idea. They get these players in, the hipster players in. The managers are hipsters. And they seem to get it right. They are a fantastically run club, but they also know about their players. Baleba push for the transfer. Exactly. Now, one thing I will say about Baleba is he's pushing for the transfer, 100% pushing for it. He wants it, but Brighton are well respected by the players. In this instance, Brighton are not concerned with us. this is the one thing where even though Baleba may put in a transfer request, may ask to leave, at the end of the day, he's not going to push it. He's not going to not train. He's not going to not push it. He's we've agreed it, but they're not bothered. They're not bothered unless they get their price. They don't need to sell. They know he's not going to sign a new contract. Hey, OB, hope you're doing really well, my friend. He's not going to push. He's not going to push the deal. He's going to push to leave. He's going to put in a request, but then they're not bothered. They know they'll get their price. They know whatever they ask for, they'll get. Otherwise, next season there'll be City in for him, Liverpool, probably Madrid. There'll be loads of other teams in for him next season. And I think this is a one shot. This is a one shot deal. I think somebody said yesterday that it's great that we've let City and Arsenal, that we've let Liverpool, City, and Arsenal all spend their money, and we've. I'm good, mate. I'm good. Just about to go on holiday on Thursday, so I'm fantastic. So there was a comment yesterday. I'm not putting the comment down. I think there are so many interesting comments on here, and one of them was, we've let Liverpool, or we've been really clever. So Ineos have been really clever in letting Liverpool and City and Arsenal spend their money, and we've come to the end of the window and we've gone, there's these players left. I think that's such a naive viewpoint to have, is that we've not let anybody do anything. Like Liverpool have gone out being efficient. Frimpong I think, is a great signing. Ekitike, I think, will prove to be a good signing. I don't know yet, but I think he will be. Vert. So we've not let anybody do their signings. They've been efficient in it. What we have is that we've been lucky. I think we've been very fortunate in what we've done. We've still ultimately paid the prices that the selling clubs want. So it's not like we've gone in. I think Shesko, we've done okay. Cunha was an easy deal to do. The Mbermo deal, Brentford shifted what they wanted to do, and we ultimately bent over. We got the structure of the deal done, but ultimately we paid what they wanted to do. And this Baleba deal, I think us getting it, if and when we get this Baleba deal done, I think it's just a necessity. I think what's happened is that we've realised how bad the squad is in terms of the first team, what we need in the squad. I think Amarin's been pushing this as well. And I think it's what we've done is we've gone, if we want to compete or European places, we actually need to do something with this squad. So I think that they've realised this, and they've just gone, look, we need to do this. And this is ultimately, I think, where we are with this one, is that Baleba, I believe, will get done. It's not going to get done at a cut price. Pedro, I think Chelsea were quoted 80. He went for 50, I think. So we've been very fortunate. I don't think it's panic just yet. I don't think we're panic buying. I think we are using data, I think, as I think we planned to do, and we had to start this early because I think Baleba is a really good deal to do. So I think we are going to get that. Now, to the keeper situation, I'll give Transfer United a shout out on this one. That was from a couple of days ago. Sabadia, I hope that's how you pronounce your name. I hope you're really well today. Thank you for being in the chat and being part of this community. I think we get that done as a loan. I think he'll be very expensive as a goalkeeper to do. He's going to want 300k. Now, I think this again, I think Shesko was a watershed moment for the club, as in we got him at the asking price. We didn't overpay on the wages. I think we've learned our lesson there. Now, will this keeper, the Donnarumma deal, will this be a deal where we go, look, Chelsea bought Casido from Brighton for 150 mil, 100 mil up front, cost 50 and after performance. Exactly. They are no low ballers. Brighton do not need to sell. They don't need to sell. They'll hold out for their price, and they will get their price. think Baleba next season will be a Casido price. I think the reason why he's not this year is because I think he needs an extra year. So we're sort of trying to buy him at early doors. But the keeper situation, I think Lemens is there or thereabouts. I think that if we can pull the trigger on that deal, Martinez is still floating around, so we could potentially do that deal. But the Donnarumma deal, it's not often you get a chance to do that deal. But is it too expensive? How long does Baleba have left in his contract? I think it's 2 years. I think Brighton are trying to offer him. I think it's 2 years. I can't check because I'm on my phone. But I think it's 2 years left on his deal. So and he's young. They could try to get him on a new contract. That's not going to happen. They're not going to get him on a new contract now. So something that I saw, which is really interesting. There's this website. I can't remember what it's called, and it was something like Brighton are not paying Baleba 11.5k a week. And if anybody believes that, then basically they're stupid. Factually, that's what they're paying him. That's what they're paying him. So I don't understand why Brighton are so angry about that. Some of their fan groups and whatever else. Baleba's on a low wage. It's not an aspersion on them. It's just what they pay. I think they've got a cracking deal on that. I think they know what they're doing. It just shows that they're an efficient club. But sadly, someone comes in and offers you 10 times your wages or whatever else, then you are going to want to go. So, and he's not going to sign a new contract. So Brighton are going to want to get the best deal for this player. So I Brighton on this one, they're going to get their money. They're going to 104 seems steep. I do think that. I think we can get that down. I do, or I think there'll be performance-based stuff, so we don't have to pay it like all in one go. Snoopy says, brother, I'm supporting you for 23 years. And at the age of since 5, I see Calvert-Lewin anywhere around Manchester. I lose my shit. Thank you. I thank you. I'm with you on that. 25 years. That's amazing, my friend. I'm a 38-year veteran of this club since 1987, pretty much. I'm with you on that. I think Calvert-Lewin would be a disaster. And yeah, he's on free, but you might as well just take that money and bin it. You might as well take that money and absolutely bin it. So Baleba will come. I think Brighton will get their money as they always do. I don't think it's going to be a cheap deal to do. For me, we need to get this deal done. And I respect, and I know this sounds counterproductive, but I'll respect the Ineos football side even more if they do this deal, because it shows they've done their homework. It shows they know what they're doing. It shows they've gone after this player, even though he's going to cost 100 million at least. I will still believe this window, even if they get this player, is still a 6 at maximum, because we haven't sold anybody. We need to sell people. We need to still get a goalkeeper in. We still got most of the side that finished 15th last season. We're still going to, I was born a fan. My dad and grandfather both United fans. Exactly. Some people on here who are literally born fans. I mean, my uncle was a United fan, and so was my granddad. I probably born a United fan, but it's just I count it from when I remember football. So that was about 1987. So I'll respect them if they do the deal, because then for me it just goes to show that same Bobby, my grandfather. Wow, that is respect, Snoopy. Much respect to your granddad, my friend. My granddad is really funny, isn't it? How it's like the granddads who have massive impact on us. I mean, mine was a legend. He's only been gone a couple of years. He's been gone for 4 years. And I'm very, very fortunate to have him really, really late. Legend of a man, as are most of our granddads, right? So I think that Baleba deal is going to get done. For me, the window for me at the moment is a 6, because you can't discount the incomings of these players. It has to be everything as a window. I think the team against Arsenal is a disappointment, in my opinion. We've got an unfit in Burmo. Cunha still got room to go. Shesko hasn't had a pre-season with us. For me, a 10 out of 10 window is all of our signings in for the first, and I don't think anyone's window can be 10 out of 10. It can't be. It can't be. If we had all of our players lined up for pre-season, they all took part in pre-season, every sale, every loan was done, and then we have a pre-season with all of our players and they were ready to go, that's a 10 out of 10. That's unrealistic in my opinion, but for me, that's a 10 out of 10. There's probably nobody in the league, even though they bought their players, can say it's a 10 out of 10 window. You've got to have your players, for me, ready to go. Pre-season, ever pre-season, done and dusted, ready to go, all your new players fit. But we've not got that. We're going to be playing pretty much, I think, Baleba will happen before the second game. There's so much to figure out in midfield. Casemiro needs to go. We're actually playing against Arsenal with that prop strike. Exactly, my friend. Snoopy, intelligent conversation there, mate. Intelligent. I agree with you, mate. We're going to have a goalkeeper, not a first choice. Well, we'll have the goalkeepers that are here. So for me, that's a failure. Shesko's not going to start, is he? He's just not going to start. So we're not going to have a striker that starts. We're only going to have 2 new players playing. And Burmo's not fit. He's not fit. He really isn't. We're going to have Cunha having to play. So Mount's going to... I can tell you the team now. 9 out of 10 if we sell Højlund, Garnacho essentially get a CM and keeper. Bobby, I respect your opinion, my friend. I really do. And I'm not going to disagree with you on that one. But for me, even if we deal with that, mate, it's nowhere near a 9 or 10 for me. It's a 7. How can you... For me, and this is not me saying it to you, this is a kind of ether, like a hypothetical thing I'm about to say. It's more of a, how can you have a good window, a considered a good window when you, against Arsenal, we're going to be playing the same team that lost to Spurs, pretty much the same team. Casemiro's still here. Casemiro needs to go. Anana will still be here. Bienda will still be in goal. Joel, actually, there's a big chance that Shesko will start. They're going to have an indoor game this week to assess him. Also, he's had a pre-season with Leipzig. Joel, again, mate, opinions. I agree. You guys, you all know that I respect your opinions and you have your intelligent. And again, I can't disagree with your opinions. I think everyone's entitled to that. Yes, I agree that Shesko has had a pre-season. There's no argument to that. And he's a really fit lad. But he hasn't had a pre-season with us. And, we play a dramatically different system. This is looking to turn the very best window we've ever had than in the Premier League. I think Ahmed should start on the right wing if Mbemba doesn't start Sunday. Joe, again, mate, I hope everyone's right on this one. But for me, I don't think it's the best window that we've ever had. I just don't. I can't. Maybe it's stubbornness on my part. I can't get on board with it, mate. I don't think it is. We could argue. We could argue. We could not argue. But okay, I'll tell you for why it's not the best window. For me, I'm not arguing with the caliber of players. I'm not arguing with that. I'm not arguing that if we get Baleba, a new goalkeeper, I'd have to go through different windows, but I think that there's been a couple of windows where we've got Ruud van Nistelrooy, or the window that we've got York in, and there's a window where we've got... I'd have to think back through the windows, but the reason why, and I'll explain to you my reasons why, I don't think this is the best window that we've ever had. Okay, so when you're looking, for me, I have to look at the whole of the window. So if we're looking at, are these players the best window that we've ever had? Okay. On the face of it, yes, in terms of players brought in. We haven't got a number one striker. So for me, that's a mark down there. In Bermo, Cunha, and Shesko, I think is, in terms of players in, that's a very good window. You've got two of the best number 10s in the league. Shesko up front. Again, I can't be a hypocrite and say that. I've said it the whole long. These are transformative players, best players. Baleba comes in and a new keeper come in. In terms of players bought, I'd agree. One of the best windows for players brought in. Okay, agreed with that completely. But that's only one aspect of a transfer window. We started most of the pre-season with the same team that finished 15th last season, and we all said that was disgusting, and we all said that was awful. We had two good games in the middle of Leeds and Everton and the Fiorentina game. Pretty much as I'm going to say, it's the same team. And Bermo comes in, he's not fit. He doesn't look fit. Cunha again needs to go up a level. So at one point we had one new signing come in, and the rest of the team is the same as the 15th. We haven't actually sold a player. We've loaned players in, and I do get that these players are difficult to do, 100% difficult to do. But we're gonna start a window. Yeah, agreed. We're gonna start a window with the same players. We've been playing Luke Shaw and Casemiro. We haven't sold a player yet. So obviously there's time to go for the window. But if you're asking me how good the window is, I think that the signings we've made so far, and we've only signed 3 players, have been great. Probably some of the best signings that we've ever made. But as a window overall, for me, it right now it's a 6. It's nowhere near a 9 or 10. It's not going to be a 9 or 10 for me. I think at most we can do a 7.5. Because for me, I have to look at the whole of the window. But everybody's different. I get it. I'm not going to disagree with you in terms of what you believe. If it's a 9 out of 10 for you guys, then that's great. But I have to look at the whole window for me. And then they're going to get, if they get a Calvert-Lewin, I'm marking that down straight away. But for me, it's the whole of a window. So it's not just the players in. I agree if you're going to average it out and go, look, the players that we brought in, let's imagine we get Baleba, a good keeper. Then players brought in, probably a 9. I'm not going to disagree with that. But sales, the pre-season, the first game against Arsenal, you have to mark that, for me, you have to mark that down 4, 5. So the average, and you can go pre-season, was that a 5 or a 6? And then for players sold, maybe a 4. So you average all those together. For me, I don't know what that is, but that's about a 7 for me. But again, I respect people's opinion. Hopefully I'll be proved wrong. The window, you can only almost really judge a window on the results of the next season. I think players brought in is a 9, but for me, right now it's floating around a 6. We get rid of these players, we get a Baleba in, and it's about a 7.5 for me, because I have to look at pre-season. I have to look at the first game of the season. I have to look at, we still got this 15th team in place. Casemiro's still going to get a game. Luke Shaw's still going to get a game. And that's a failure for me. That's a failure for me. So I think if we get all these players in, players done, 7.5, them at a push for me. But again, that I respect your opinions, and this is why this is so good on here. It's because I love the fact that we all got our own opinions, our own scores, and whatever else. So that's fantastic. The goalkeeper, I think Donnarumma comes in as a loan. I don't know if we'd buy him. I think he's very, very expensive. I would like a Laments to come in. For me personally, you can't pass up an opportunity to get a world-class keeper. I want to Højlund until Jan. I agree with that, Obi. I agree, my friend. I think we should keep him. The alternative is terrifying, but Højlund is going to go. Højlund's going to go to AC Milan. I think that's already been done. I think it's gone. I think it's done. He's gone. I think it's a shame. Højlund, for me, I would say he's been dealt a bad hand. You look, but again, you look at big clubs. You look at what City have done today. Savinho, is it Savinho? I think it is. Um, he's going to Spurs. You know, I thought they'd give him another season. Is it Savinho or the other player? But anyway, one of the signings that they made last season, he's going to go to Spurs. So that's what big clubs do. And Højlund, I can't be a hypocrite on this. I would have given him another season. Obi, I agree with you, mate. We failed him big time. Joel, you give Cunha and Bermo and Chesko a 6. It's almost like you don't rate these players. You should not look at what is the club. You should focus on the club's coming. Yeah, but Joel, in my opinion, mate, you can't do that. Shesko, Cunha, and Bermo is a 9. And I'm saying that flat out. You get Baleba and a keeper. Players in, it's a 9. I'm not going to disagree with you on that. But you can't just look at players coming in. You can't do it, because if you look at last window, you could almost say that that's an 8. But we finished 15th. You can't. Well, you can, but I personally can't look at a window. Timmy's going, I want Calvert-Lewin, Kane signing Calvert-Lewin. Nah, not for me. Yeah, but even though so for me, is that even though the players are out, we haven't got them out right now. They're still here. You have to look at the efficiency of the club. You have to look at pre-season. Pre-season was an abject disaster, in my opinion. We were, apart from 2 games against an unfit West Ham side and an unfit a Bournemouth side, there are 19 days to go, Joel, and I agree with you, my friend. I agree with you. Where I will agree with you, Joel, 100%, is the players in are a 9. I love them all. I think they're fantastic signings, and I will support them. But I can't get on board the pre-season. These players have not had a pre-season. The start of the season, I think, is going to be. I think we need to be careful. Against Arsenal, we're going to probably have. We're going to have Cunha playing out of position, and Bermo's not fit. Anana may be in goal. We're just going to have the team that finished 15th. I can't say that's a good start to the season. That's not a good window. It's an awful window. In terms of players still here and players out, it's a disaster. Arsenal have been terrible, but I don't care about Arsenal. I don't care about. I can't judge our window based on them, my friend. I can't do it. I can't to look at our window. But where I agree with Joel wholeheartedly, this window for players has been a 9. I think the football side have done a good job. I think they've been fortunate in what they've been able to do, but I do think that ultimately the business side, the getting players in, is a 9. I'd even argue it's possibly a 10. I'm not going to argue the players in, but I have to look at the JB sell everyone, sell them all. I know I would do. I would get rid of all of it, but we can't do that, right? So for me, 7.5. If at the end of the window, 19 days to go, we get the players out we need to get out, the players in, looking at pre-season, looking at the first game of the season, possibly the first 2 games, and it's a 7.5. I think the getting players out of the club and pre-season and the first 2 games of the season, for me, that brings the window right down to a 7.5. But I do respect. It still doesn't mean I'm not excited. I'm excited to see the season. I'm excited to see what Amarin's done with his plays. Just because I mark the window down doesn't mean that I don't think we're going to have a great season. I'm excited about the season, guys. I can't wait for the season. And I can't wait for these players. I hope Shesko comes in and scores hat-trick. 7.5 is what I rate it now. Like, Bobby, again, this is what's wonderful about doing this with you guys, is that I totally respect all your opinions, and you listen to me about my opinions, and I can't disagree with, it all depends on how we watch football, right? And how we rate certain things. Some people might not care about pre-season, some people may not care about the outs. And if you are looking at players just in, I can't say that it's not a 9 or a 10, because if Baleba comes in and then we get a keeper in of a caliber, it's a 10, mate. It's probably some of the best players that we've ever done, and I can't disagree with that. But for me personally, I've got to look at a window as a whole. And do you know what? If we beat Arsenal, which I'm not sure, again, if in Burma Cunha, they might just flick on a switch. Premier League, as you say, pre-season is pre-season. You can't. I am 8 out of 10 right now. Rashford, the impossible player, gone. Yep, that is fantastic. Garnacho look be gone. Anthony could be gone very soon. And again, Joel, I can't. I can't disagree with you. I cannot disagree with you, my friend. And Burma crossing is just, yeah. And Burmo crossing in Burmo's corners, I like what Burmo does. I think he's a great, Cunha, I think it's a great signing. I love his like attitude towards the game, the way he picks the ball up, the way he drives. Burmo's going to be a fantastic player. I think he's got pace, power, crossing. I think he's brilliant. Shesko's going to be wonderful. I really think he is. The height, the power, the pace. He's hungry. Baleba will be a monster, a new keeper. And mate, guys, you've just bought a first team pretty much. I worry about the wing backs. Not on Dorgu's side. I do worry about who plays behind Dorgu. I worry about the right hand side. Yoro can't keep picking up Ahmad's his non-existent defensive capabilities. Ahmad going forward is a delight. Ahmad going forward is beautiful. I love watching Ahmad play. In Burmo, Ahmad, it's going forward. It's a joy to watch. I love it. I really, really do. Just think this week we're going to get to see it again, guys, and I think it's going to be fantastic. But sum up, I think, where we are this week. Calvert-Lewin, I'm convinced he's coming. I'm convinced he's coming. I don't want him. I'm convinced he's coming. I think he'll be a disaster. Baleba, I think he'll get done sometime this week, maybe next week. But I think that's going to get done. Goalkeeper-wise, the same. So I think we'll go on Le Mans. I really do. But I think we have to try for a Martinez or the Donnarumma thing. Even if he's on loan, I think that I think we have to go there. Hello, my friend. I think we have to try. I do think we've got to try for that deal. I think we do. I think we try for a season on that deal. Life looks good for me, man. Fantastic. I'm really, really happy for you. But I again, I agree with this chat. I think that the players coming in are a 9 out of 10. I almost now, for me, pre-season's gone. How's life? Life is amazing. Life is amazing, my friend. I'm going on holiday on Thursday, so I'll do some streams and there'll be sun, sand, and all that stuff. Joe says Calvert-Lewin is not happening. We're not looking for another striker. If we would get Lewin, we'd have him already. Joe, mate, I hope you're right, my friend. This is one time I will say I hope I'm wrong, and I'm praying you're right, my friend. I really am. Let's do that. Ahmed concerns me as right wing back, tracking back physically, muscular, etc. Yeah, it's new to Ahmed and he's small. Exactly. As we saw plenty of times when we attacked, it come down that side, and when other teams attacked, it come down that side. What I noticed more, the pivot was awful. The pivot was terrible. There's no link between defense and the attackers. And teams already put that ball in those pockets between the wing backs. Dorgu's fine. I'm not too concerned about that. But there were a couple of instances where it went down that side. And Heaven, again, he's got a lot to learn. But it's those pockets between the centre back and the wing back for me. That was where I thought we were dreadful. And you're right, for me, Ahmad for me is a weak link. 100% on that. So, guys, I'm going to leave the show there. I have to leave the show there because I basically have to go do some stuff now. So it's just a quick one today. As always, guys, amazing show. Again, these are the chats that I love, where we discuss our different opinions on players and we discuss our opinions on our ratings for stuff. I think it's great, and it's wonderful to me that we all have our different opinions on it. I just think it's great. And, you know, I respect you guys so much in the chat. We are like a little family. And I just think I think it's fantastic. So if anything does break, I'll jump back on today. A great show today, guys. You know, OB legend, Arman, Jar, as always. Who else we got in the chat? Bobby, Jar's there again. Temishkin again. Who else is in the chat? Snoopy CS. Anybody else? Anybody else? Have a little look. Try and mention Sabadia. Thank you. Emmanuel, amazing guys. So, yeah, thank you for watching again. I know it's not the best and it's a bit shaky. Expect much of that this week. Hopefully, I should be able to do the Arsenal game. I'm hoping so. But yeah, if anything does break, I will jump back on. Thank you for being in the chat. It means so much to me. And yeah, have a good rest of your day, morning, evening, afternoon. Please, my contact stuff is in the channel description. So if anything does break, you give us a shout. This channel's on X as well. And yeah, have a good rest of your day, guys. And I'll see you very soon. Take care and goodbye.